Ladies and gentlemen, what a treat we have in store here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show here on Sportinarium. And we have another two for the price of one, once again, with the Honorable MC Ernest Dove, of course, our number one source for all the latest happenings in the world of professional baseball, and a credited member of the media who covers the St. Lucie Mets, because we have a guest here that's no stranger to the Sports Report and somebody who's done a phenomenal job in the New York Mets organization. And he's also one of our own here, of course. He's a native son here for Kings County, the borough of Brooklyn. He did a phenomenal job as a Cincinnati Bearcat, a Brooklyn Cyclone, and most notably even, he played some baseball this past winter for the Sydney Blue Sox, where he was only the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year. So he is on his way to bigger and better things, and we have a pretty good feeling we're going to see him as a New York Met in the very near and distant future. So without further ado, here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show, the Honorable MC Ernest Dove, alongside our guest to kick off today's show, Manny Rodriguez. Gentlemen, how are you?
I'm doing better now, too.
Fantastic after that intro.
Well, Manny, I got to tell you, after being on Sportinarium now the past 5 months, and we've been talking with all these different boxers, including the First Lady of Australian boxing, Susie Ramadan, we have to do intros like that, especially for you, because we even did your name twice, because it's a two for the price of one with Ernest this week, and obviously you actually playing in Australia, we had to give the last name 2 mentions on that one. So obviously, it is a tremendous honor. I certainly hope I can keep my voice after the end of this interview is done with, but it's a tremendous honor to be speaking with you once again and the Honorable MC Ernest Dove. But I want to bring in the Honorable MC Ernest Dove in here for our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium, because I want the Honorable MC Ernest Dove to talk about just the kind of player that Manny Rodriguez is, and why Manny Rodriguez was the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year for the Sydney Blue Sox. So set the tables for us, the Honorable MC Ernest Dove, and the kind of player and the kind of person that Manny Rodriguez is.
Yeah, we have a 24-year-old infielder, Manny Rodriguez, middle infielder in Mets organization, drafted in the 10th round in 2018 amateur draft from, like you said, the University of Cincinnati. And the Brooklyn native actually began his pro career with a minor league affiliate for the Brooklyn Cyclones. That must have been obviously a really cool experience to start your pro career in the same place, obviously, of your birth. And then in 2019, I was able to cover Manny with the St. Lucie Mets organization, which was the Class High A level minor league affiliate for the Mets during the season. He was also an all-star during the season. That was one of his selections as well. Little tip of the cap to his all-star selection as well in 2019. And then here we have it. Obviously a lost 2020 season for minor league baseball, but he was selected in a very small group of players per team. The Mets ended up being allotted a few players that were picked up to be in winter ball in the Australian Baseball League, the Sydney Blue Sox, where he participated through the season, finished off really strong as they were making a playoff run as well with the Sydney Blue Sox. And shout out the Australian Baseball League as well. They seem to really put on a good show, probably a really good experience. And what you're getting from Manny, one of those smooth infielders, maybe more of like a line drive hitter is what you're looking at. A really good guy to be around in the clubhouse, I'm told. So just a really solid, good vibes individual. So all the Marcus Stroman fans out there, you're probably getting the Mets minor league version of it for prospects, and Manny Rodriguez with the vibes and the flow that he's got going on down there in the minor leagues. And that's basically what you have in Manny Rodriguez.
Absolutely. I think he's a little cooler than Marcus Stroman. So obviously, let's give Manny a little bit more credit, especially for our worldwide audience listening here in Sportinarium. But Manny, I want to ask you this question because the Honorable MC Ernest Dove said just something interesting here. You started out, obviously, you know, you're growing up from Brooklyn. You started out with the Cyclones and ended up in Sydney, and now you're back home here in the States. I mean, do you ever look back on your journey and say, wow, I was growing up in Brooklyn, played high school in Maryland, went to Cincinnati, dominated there, came back home with the Cyclones, was in St. Lucie. Then during COVID, I got the opportunity to play in Sydney for the Blue Sox, where I was the defensive player of the year. Then I'm back home. I mean, that's quite a journey. I mean, that's a journey that not even big leaguers go on. I mean, do you ever stop and think about the journey that you've been on so far throughout your career?
I mean, of course, every day, I try to thank God for, the plan that he's put in front of my life. And I just appreciate, every experience I've ever had. And, I always said that, this little ball that we play with would take me around the world and I'd travel a lot. But, I still never dreamed of the places that I've already been so far. And especially going back to places like home. So, it's all amazing moments that, I always cherish, who make me who I am just from going to those experiences. And I'm just welcoming all the other experiences that are ahead.
Absolutely. No question that you are going to have many, many more experiences. And we know that's going to be in a New York Mets uniform in the near and distant future. But I want to ask you this question before we get to talk about playing in Sydney and the fact that it was several months that went by and that you didn't get to play. And when we spoke with you last, it was right before COVID. So you went several months without playing. I mean, how did you keep yourself in the condition that you were able to get that call in Sydney? I mean, talk to me about that journey that you had from COVID to when you got that call that you were going to get the opportunity to play in Sydney. Talk about that for our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm the kind of guy that when I'm not doing baseball, I'm really still focusing on my body. So, when I'm not doing baseball, I'm in the weight room, I'm running, I'm stretching, I'm doing some sort of activity. I'm still staying in shape because, I always say I'd rather stay ready than have to get ready. So I enjoy the process of taking care of my body, getting stronger, getting faster, just working on, certain skills of the game when I'm outside of the game. And yeah, I mean, it worked out perfect. I mean, obviously it was a lot tougher with COVID because everything was so unexpected. But I mean, I honestly embraced the whole experience, not knowing, what was going to happen next. But, it was an awesome experience. I was able to, I think I took, full advantage of this time that we had off outside of the game. And, I worked my ass off and I was able to get the opportunity to go to Sydney. And I was blessed to be able to get those ABs out there. And just once they gave me the call, I was just ready.
Talk to me about that moment when you got that call that you were going to get to play down in Sydney. I mean, talk to me about where you were, how you felt, and what did it make you feel?
I mean, honestly, it was a really cool experience because, somebody that I had grown up watching play, one of my idols, I was seeing him on some like Instagram posts for this team that was in the Australian League. And I was like, damn, that must be really cool out there, playing out there. And especially now that Manny's out there, Manny Ramirez. And so I get the call and it happens to be the Sydney Blue Sox. And they're like, yeah, you're interested in playing, some winter ball. And, obviously, all I know is baseball. So I hopped on that right away. And yeah, and then next thing I know, I go back to the post of Manny Ramirez with the team. And the jersey he was wearing was a Sydney Blue Sox jersey. So it was even cooler because I went from watching him play as a little kid to actually being with him out there and in a place like Australia. So I don't even know how to describe it. It was crazy.
How was the time adjustment, getting used to that?
Honestly, it was not terrible because, I got the tip of wherever you land, just follow the time of wherever you land. So I flew in. It was a morning when I got to Sydney and I was traveling for like 2 days. So I flew in the morning and I had to force myself to stay up that whole day until night where I was able to fall asleep and, still be able to feel the same. So that helped a lot.
I got to bring in here the Honorable MC and stuff because I know he stayed up late to watch Manny play in the Sydney Blue Sox. I mean, how did you deal with the time adjustment, the Honorable MC and stuff?
Listen, there's no sleep in baseball reporting and covering, my friend. I mean, you know what? The one thing that I did notice, even to ask Manny about, is there were certain opportunities out there, with some fans and some engagement that was going on out there. It looked really darn exciting. So definitely want to get Manny's thoughts on playing in that atmosphere. Because again, this is pro baseball. These are guys just fighting for really good things. They had a playoff run going on out there. So I also wanted to ask, what's it like to be in that atmosphere?
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, especially being away from the game for that long, I think it made it even awesomer because, once you were able to see some fans out there, playing for some fans, it was really, really exciting. And, those fans were amazing. Every single game, we had a great load of fans that were loud into every single pitch and, just cheering us on every game. And I think the first game we really put on a show for them. It was a packed house and we were able to put up I think we gave up 5 runs in the top of the first inning. And then that bottom of the first inning, we put up 7 runs and, the crowd was going awesome. It was going crazy. energy. We were definitely, feeding off of their energy. So it was definitely an amazing time and some amazing people that I met out there for sure.
Absolutely. You had a lot of success down there. And then talk to me about that first time you get on the field down there. Because again, you're one of the few lucky people that got to play during COVID. You're one of the few players in the Mets organization that got that opportunity to be on the field. I mean, what's going on through your mind that first time you get to take the field that day?
Yeah, I mean, I said before, I'm one of those guys that definitely doesn't like to take being on the field for granted because you obviously never know when's going to be your last game. But, it was a great feeling, being able to get on some dirt again, and actually be able to compete again. Once you're a competitor, if you go so long without competing, you just start itching. So being able to go to Australia, it was kind of being able to scratch that itch. So, once I got on that field, it was ready to go. And it was amazing, especially being able to do it, some of my teammates from here, from the Mets, like Carlos, like doing that, going to that journey with him, that was an awesome experience. I wouldn't want to do that with anybody else. I think we had a great experience, had a great time playing together, learned a lot about each other, learned more about each other on the field. So yeah, it was definitely awesome being back on the field.
No question that you had the opportunity to play with a few of your teammates like Carlos Cortez, who had a pretty good year down there. He had 3 home runs and 16 RBIs. And another guy who came on the show in the past with us, Andrew Mitchell, who we know is destined also for big things. I mean, did it also make the experience a little more special that you got to take it in with fellow teammates in the Mets organization like a Carlos Cortez and an Andrew Mitchell?
Absolutely. I mean, it was really fun just being able to not only like play together, but also, be able to experience and play Australian baseball with Australian guys, just seeing how they play and then them teaching us some things and us teaching them what we've learned, through pro ball and everything and college ball. So, I mean, it was definitely, not only like a baseball experience, but like a really like cultural experience on and off the field being with those guys for sure. But also something that I wanted to note was a funny story with Carlos was that obviously once we got to Australia, to Sydney, we had to quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel. So obviously there was no batting practice or anything. But Carlos, he quarantines for 2 weeks. And then the second day he gets out of quarantine, it's our first game. So he's obviously, it's been a while since he swung it, but he gets 2-3 hits like it's nothing. Just like riding a bike.
I'm sure he's going to have a lot of 2 and 3 hit games, especially here throughout 2021. And that's why we're honored to have here on the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show on Sport and Area, the #1 global radio station, Manny Rodriguez, the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year, who did a phenomenal job with the Sydney Blue Sox. Has also most notably done a phenomenal job in the New York Mets organization, where he was an all-star in 2019 for the St. Lucie Mets, where he had 14 stolen bases and played pretty much every game that year. And he's on his way to bigger and better things here in the Mets organization. And alongside myself to talk with Manny Rodriguez is somebody who got to cover Manny Rodriguez when he was with the St. Lucie Mets. That's the Honorable MC Ernest Tubb, who's an accredited member of the media who covers the St. Lucie Mets, as I am the America's greatest export, the host of the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show, the Reverend Tom Bryson. We're talking here with Manny Rodriguez and all the great things about his career, and especially that 2020 to 21 season with the Sydney Blue Sox, where he was the ABL Defensive Player of the Year. And Manny, I got to ask you this question for our worldwide audience listening here on Sport and Area. And you've talked about Australia, and Australia is one of the most beautiful places you can visit in the world. It's got some of the most nicest people that you can also speak with. We've had that opportunity, obviously, to speak with Susie Ramadan and speak with her on her journey. And what was that like in experiencing the culture of Australia and especially Sydney?
I mean, it's just hard to put into words. I mean, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Like, I had no idea what to picture, but it was even better than I was picturing. I mean, just being there in that culture, everybody, just awesome people. Everybody's happy. Everybody's in a good mood. Great weather, obviously. Though I did forget to put some sunblock on a few times, and it wasn't a good day that But that hole in the ozone is no joke. But so yeah, it was awesome. Able to experience the beaches out there, especially. Got to do some snorkeling. Got to hit up Bondi Beach, Coogee. Because then again, out there with the pandemic, it was pretty awesome. Because once we did that quarantine, it was free and ready to go. We were free roaming. Enjoying all the sights, enjoying all the places. The food there is amazing. I swear they do something different or grow their potatoes in a different way. Because everywhere you eat fries over there is the best fries you've ever hat. I swear. Go to Australia just strictly for the fries.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Listen, we've heard that from Susie. We've gotten to know Susie over the past few months, and the food is fantastic there. The people there are fantastic. The weather there is fantastic. And listen, Manny, don't feel too bad because in Brooklyn, the winter was pretty harsh this year. So you may have forgot to bring sunblock, but that's the least of your problems because it was a very tough winter in Brooklyn this year. I can tell you that for a fact. In fact, not too long ago, I'm knocking on doors in Marine Park in Midwood, and it's like 20 degrees outside, and it's dark early, and I'm saying to myself, what the hell am I doing outside? So, Manny, listen, I think that was the least of your problems down there.
Yeah, I don't miss those days.
No, and neither do I, and I hope never to do those again. So obviously, we hope that that's the last of the winters that we have to deal with in that fashion. But you said something interesting a few minutes ago, and I want to talk about it because obviously you brought up the name Manny Ramirez. And Manny Ramirez is a lightning rod. Anytime you mention his name, I mean, there's only a few players I can think of over the past 30 years that generate such excitement and such buzz about Manny Ramirez. You're thinking about, let's see, Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., Albert Pujols, Mike Trout, Alex Rodriguez, Sammy Sosa, Frank Thomas. I mean, those are the names you put in the discussion with when it comes to a Manny Ramirez. I mean, what was that like in the Manny Ramirez experience? I got to put it that way. It's the Manny Ramirez experience, and Manny being Manny and everything that we've heard about him and following him. I mean, so I got to ask you then, for our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium, what was it like being teammates with Manny Ramirez?
It was pretty awesome because once I met him, right before I introduced myself to him, somebody had yelled Manny, and we had both turned our heads. So what I did was, when I went up to him, all right, we're gonna get one thing straight. You can go by Manny, I'll go by something else since you have 500 plus home runs in the bigs. So we got that out of the way clear, nice and early. So it was pretty awesome though. Guy's swing is still perfection. Just being able to witness that swing in person was just, that alone was pretty awesome. And I think we had like a kind of a closer bond because me and him were like the only two Spanish players on the team. So I think he found some comfort in that. So, I mean, it was just awesome being able to talk to the guy that, I grew up watching.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I remember being a little kid. The first time I saw him play was actually in September of 1993 against the New York Yankees in Yankee Stadium. I believe it was a Tuesday night game, 7:00 game on Channel 11. And I see this guy come up to the plate, and Phil Rizzuto mentions that he's from George Washington High School. So being from Brooklyn, I'm like, automatically, I heard of that. That's from Manhattan, even being like 5 or 6 years old at that time. And I saw him, even that he had 2 home runs. And from that moment, I'm like, I got to collect his baseball cards. I got to find out who this guy was. And it was the end of the year. So there wasn't much games left. So all of a sudden, you had to go and find information. There was no computer at that time. So you had to go out and buy a pack of Topps baseball cards. And that's what I did that winter. I scrounged up enough money to find a Manny Ramirez rookie card. And then all of a sudden the next year, they're playing in the new Jacobs Field at that time. And it was with Albert Bell and Carlos Baegra and Jim Thome. And all of a sudden, Manny Ramirez wound up being one of my favorite baseball players and one of the greatest baseball players of all time, where nobody could pitch to this guy. You could not get Manny Ramirez, and you couldn't strike him out. You couldn't get him into a double play. You couldn't shift him. I mean, it's really him and Barry Bonds. So that's got to be a tremendous honor. And then I want to bring back in here the Honorable MC and stuff, because the Honorable MC and stuff, you got to cover Manny Rodriguez pretty much from the start of his career to where he is now. And talk about, for our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium, on how you've seen Manny Rodriguez evolve into the player that he is today.
From what I understand, too, he's even been evolving even through winter ball with the Australian team with the Sydney Blue Sox. Because I know it's kind of an interesting thing for certain players out of the draft. And I know for Manny, he started at the rookie level, what's considered rookie level in Brooklyn, and then he ended up jumping a level. So I know that's something that can't be easy to do for somebody to come out of college, play rookie ball, then you jump an entire level, and then you double your games from like 50-ish games to over 100 games. And I know obviously he earned the All-Star nod. There's a lot of fight and a lot of grit that goes into something like that. I'm always fascinated by professional athletes like Manny going through through an experience like this, even from the draft, turning pro, all that attention on you, fighting through it. So I wanted to ask even what that's like going through. But I know I wanted to talk to you about some of the adjustments that you've been making, even through the Australian Baseball League. What are certain things that you were working on? Because you started doing really well. And even at the last few games of the season, which were actually like the most important of their entire winter ball season, you finished 8 for 17. And I wanted to talk to you about some of the adjustments that you started making offensively, even from Brooklyn to St. Lucie to the Sydney Blue Sox, certain adjustments you were making at the plate, if you can tell the audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, what I've realized now, especially, at camp, is that baseball, the career of baseball is the funny thing. I think that, 1 year you'll focus on one thing when it comes to your swing. And then like you feel comfortable in that aspect. And the next year you feel comfortable. You're already comfortable with that side of your swing. So you start working on this aspect. And I think that, when you have like really good coaches and you have consistent work, I think that once you come to that median, you start to feel it. And I think that, early on in Australia, I think I was close to that median. But I think what really helped me out, honestly, was working out a lot with Carlos in the cage, because obviously Carlos is really comfortable with his swings. The kid knows a lot about hitting. So, we were picking each other's brains in the cages out there in Australia, and also with some of the Tigers players that we were also playing with. So it was awesome just being able to just swing with the guys and talk baseball and talk swing and be able to feel certain things that just click for you. And I think that towards the end of the season, one day in the cage, just something clicked for me. And, I was able to carry that into the games. And, that's the feeling that I've been trying to get consistently now. And that's what I've been trying to do here at camp.
Manny, how big was that for you to finish the season 8 for 17? Because we know how great you were with your glove, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But to go 8 for 17, I mean, I don't care where you are. That's a momentum builder. That's a game changer. I mean, how big was that for you to end the year in Sydney as strong as you did?
No, absolutely. I think anytime that your hard work shows, I think it's rewarding, especially like in your own mind, because, it was a good feeling being able to, be comfortable at the plate and, be able to see the ball well. And at the same time, I think it was just a dope environment, just playing, with an awesome team. Those guys out there were awesome. Everything was just loose. Everybody was really playing for each other, honestly, even though we hadn't known each other for that long. But, everybody was having fun, competing, and I think that really came together there.
You did something very rare. In addition to your at-bats where you hit 292, you also were the Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, it's very rare that you see guys win a defensive award and are also great offensively. So you were able to do something that's very rare, especially for an infield position like shortstop. I mean, how big was that for your career to be able to do well at both sides of the plate, whether it was offense and then defense, obviously, with your glove? I mean, how big was that for you?
No, yeah, of course. I think that obviously everybody that, at least the people that know me and the kind of player I am, I take a lot of pride in my glove and my defense. So, I always have a lot of confidence in my defense and comfort in my defense. But, whenever I can not only show off my defense, but also show that I can hit, because I know that I can hit. It's just, it's good to see it together and it show out. And I'm excited to do that for a full season.
Oh, absolutely. We know that you are definitely going to do that. And a rising tide lifts all boats. And we know that Manny Rodriguez is going to be that rising tide that is going to lift the New York Mets organization boats. That's why he was the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year. And listen, Manny, you have had a lot of accomplishments. You have done a lot of things in your career. I mean, I lost count on how many accomplishments and how many awards that you've won. But the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year, I mean, for your career, how big was that? And where does it rank in terms of all the accomplishments that you've had in your career?
I think that is a big accomplishment, honestly. But at the same time, I think that, there's a lot more goals out there that I think in my eyes are bigger just because I have so much comfort in my defense. Like, honestly, in my eyes, like I was just doing my job. Like I was doing what I'm supposed to do. Like I'm an everyday shortstop, so I'm supposed to be making everyday plays. So that's exactly what I was doing over there. And then just, I want to continue to carry that on.
And we know that you are definitely going to carry that on. And for your career, I mean, how much do you think that this award means to the rest of your career?
like Ernest said earlier, I think it's, a good other feather to have in my cap again. And it's just going to get some more feathers.
We know that you are definitely going to get more feathers. And I want to bring back in here the Honorable MC Ernest Stubb, because obviously the Honorable MC Ernest Stubb is somebody who knows more than anybody I can think of when it comes to the New York Mets organization. And Manny, we know, is going to have a huge 2021. He's put himself in a position where we got a pretty good feeling he's going to move up the ladder here very quickly. And for you, the Honorable MC Ernest Stubb, where do you see Manny Rodriguez in terms of what he's going to do for our New York Mets, and especially for the Mets organization come 2021, coming off the huge year that he had for the Blue Sox, where he was the ABL Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting. And I know for the Mets organization, everybody knows about the blockbuster trade. So they also gave up multiple players, multiple infielders, but also even under Sandy Alderson, the Mets organization, they've been preaching this actually for years as well about being able to play multiple positions. So if even me trying to put on my cap, being like evaluator, talent evaluator, with a player like Manny, with the way he can play defensively, and it's one of those like the stereotype of sorts as well. They'll say if you can succeed and be an above average defensive player at shortstop, you could almost kind of mimic that at other positions. So for me, I can envision Manny moving up to the final affiliate levels in the minor league before the majors. And I'm also seeing him as more, that's why I even introduced him as more of an infielder, even though he's played only a handful of games at third base and second base. But I'm feeling it. Even for the Mets organization through the majors right now, they have guys playing multiple positions. So I can see Manny Rodriguez kind of manning the outfield, I guess, pun intended, pretty much everywhere. So I also wanted to maybe ask Manny, what are your thoughts on pretty much being more of even a super utility player, or even a guy, especially for the final couple of affiliates in the minors, to be playing even 2 to 3 positions possibly going forward?
I mean, I totally agree with Ernest. I think that I've always said it. I think that if you can play, I mean, I guess it's kind of biased as well, but if you can play shortstop, you can play anywhere. And I think that, it'd be fun to play other positions and showcase my glove in different angles and stuff like that. And I think it'd be just all around. That'd be something awesome to do. Just anywhere, any position that help the team win, anything that I can do to, just get dubs on the board at the end of the day. That's what everybody wants to see is a winning team. So regardless of the team that I'm on, whatever it's going to take to win.
And we know that any team that has Manny Rodriguez is going to get a lot of W's, and that's why we need him here on the Mets roster as soon as possible. I also think, Manny, that now in the Mets organization, your stock is only going to rise and increase because of the success that you had in Sydney. Because again, we've had on a lot of different teammates of yours in the past, a lot of other players and other organizations and other athletes, but you did something that's pretty special in the fact that you won an award and you played with a lot of guys that are prospects and a lot of guys you played against that are probably on their way to becoming big leaguers in their own right. So I kind of think, Manny, now since we last spoke with you, I think your stock has increased significantly in the Mets organization. I mean, do you feel the same way? I mean, do you pay attention to that stuff? I mean, talk to me about your thoughts on that.
I don't look at it that way. I just always look at it the way that, my uncle, I was always taught by my uncle, just always make it obvious. Whatever you're showcasing, whatever your skills, you have, just make it obvious. And, every time I step on the field, whether it's showcasing my glove, whatever I can to help the team win, I'm just trying to make it obvious. So I think that, it's just something that I'm going to continue to stick to. And yeah, something that I'm going to continue to live by.
Ladies and gentlemen, we definitely know that Manny Rodriguez is on his way to bigger and better things. And sooner rather than later, we are going to see him in a New York Mets uniform. And that's why we are honored to have him here on the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show, as I am America's greatest export, the host of the Sports Report, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Alongside me to talk with Manny Rodriguez is the Honorable MC Ernest Stubb, who got to cover Manny Rodriguez when he was a player with the St. Lucie Mets. And we're here talking all things related to the career of Manny Rodriguez, the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year. And as always, a huge shout out to the entire team here at Sportinarium, including Lakey, Arv Midtu, last week's guest, Sean, who does a phenomenal job with the Sportinarium YouTube page, Susie, Sasha, Connor, Martin, Ryan, Dave, Addie, who we cut a promo for each and every Sunday, our old friend Mike Lipinski from the Section 247 show, Richie, a huge baseball and wrestling fan, a long list of everybody at Sportinarium that's made us the #1 global sports show. We cannot thank them enough for all of their support. And Sportinarium, of course, is the #1 #1 global radio station. You can find out more information on Sportinarium by following Sportinarium on Twitter and Instagram at Sportinarium. You can like Sportinarium on Facebook at Sportinarium Media. You can subscribe to the aforementioned Sportinarium YouTube page at Sportinarium TV. And the most important part, you can listen to the Sports Report Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. UK time on Sportinarium.com. That's from Friday to Sunday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. UK time on Sportinarium.com. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you can listen to Sportinarium content, and not just the Sports Report. It is a long list of shows I lost count. All you have to do is keep it locked in, keep it dialed in to Sportinarium.com 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you can catch the Sports Report Friday to Sunday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. UK time. And also a huge shout out to some of our great supporters here, including MetsJunkies.com, a Metsian podcast, John from Albany. You can follow John from Albany on Twitter at John from Albany. Also, MaxMets.blogspot.com, as they have covered Manny pretty much from the day one he's been here in the Mets organization. Also, the Honorable MC Ernest wrote for MaxMets.blogspot.com, so you know we got to plug them. So everybody can follow all of those great places for Mets-related content, news, and also you can visit the Sports Report anytime at sportsreportx.com for all of the latest updates when it comes to the show. You can listen to us on soundcloud.com/the Sports Report 2019, and you can subscribe now to the aforementioned Sports Report YouTube page at the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show for Sports Report related content. And we are here talking all things related to the decorated career of Manny Rodriguez, the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year with the Sydney Blue Sox and a star player in the New York Mets organization. It is a tremendous honor to have Manny once again back on the Sports Report, and alongside me to talk about all the great things that Manny Rodriguez is doing is the Honorable MC Ernest, who knows Manny Rodriguez better than anybody that I know. And we have a few more minutes with Manny talking all things related to his career. So then I got to bring in back the Honorable MC Ernest, because the Honorable MC Ernest, I know that you have some questions, I'm sure, that our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium would be curious about. And also, I know our Met fans listening to this would be very curious about that. And even a few Cincinnati Bearcat fans who might be listening to this, especially when it comes to Manny Rodriguez. So for our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium, the Honorable MC Ernest, is there anything that you in particular would like to ask Mr. Manny Rodriguez?
Well, I mean, I definitely want to ask because obviously, thankfully, baseball is back. I mean, Major League Baseball has started playing the games, but over in the complexes of all the spring sites where all the major leaguers play in the spring, the minor leaguers are back. So I wanted to ask Manny about the experience of being back in South Florida, the complex for the New York Mets organization, being back now playing and training with all the Mets prospects out there again this year.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome to be back with the boys. Good to put the colors back on once again. It's been awesome. I think everybody, is really gracious of being able to come back and play. I think everybody was really itching to get back, and now that we're back, everybody's taking full advantage. There's great energy around the complex. Everybody's loose, ready to go, excited. We're all competing, playing hard, and we're looking really good, I think.
Also, with even in Australia or even at camp so far, have you been able to show off any of your other talents, even like any more DJing going on this year or this spring at camp?
Actually, right now, yeah, because I've been in charge of the speakers inside the locker room for before practice and post practice. So I've been keeping the guys with some good vibes. Playing some some Ocean Alley and stuff like that I learned out in Australia, putting them on some new vibes.
Man, I'm just really excited.
I want to ask you then, Manny, since the Honorable MC stuff brought it up that you're down there in Mets camp with the organization. I mean, what's the vibe down there?
Yeah, like I was saying, I think the vibe is awesome. Everybody's hungry. Awesome to be back, especially now that we have this new renovated complex down here in Port St. Lucie, which I did an awesome job with. So it's awesome being able to be back with the guys, and everybody's happy, excited. A lot of good energy from the staff, the defense, from everything. So it's gonna be an awesome year for the Mets.
What are your goals for the upcoming season?
My goals is to continue to play, the best defense I can, continue to just showcase everything that I just do outside of the field, that not only do I like to see into fruition, but I like also the people that help me outside of the field. I like to put up good numbers for them this year, stay within myself, continue to be an everyday player, be a durable player, just have a winning great year with the team.
If I said to you that you're actually in a better position right now than you were when we last spoke with you in 2020 in the Mets organization, what would you say to that?
I think I would agree with that. I think that, again, being able to play in Australia, being able to have that opportunity, not so many people had that opportunity. I think that, because I was ready, I was able to just continue to showcase my skills out there and, once again, continue to make it obvious. So once again, I'm continuing to bring that back here and continue to play, the game that I play.
What teammates are you closest to right now in the organization?
Of course, my brother Carlos. But then again, I think I've gotten really close with Desmond Lindsay. I was able to work out with him at Barwis before camp. And yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of some awesome, we've been together for about a month and a half now, actually, maybe a month and a half. We've been working out together a lot, hitting together a lot, just grinding together. So I think our relationship and our friendship has definitely grown as well over here.
Manny, before I get your closing thoughts, and I know that we've asked you this question in the past, but for our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium who may not quite know just how great of a player that Manny Rodriguez is, I know that you have had a lot of moments throughout your career, and we've talked about most notably one of those moments most recently being the 2021 ABA Defensive Player of the Year, but you've had a lot of moments, you've done a lot of things, you've been obviously successful on behalf of your hometown here in the Mets organization. You had a tremendous career at Cincinnati, especially your senior year. But for our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium, is there one or two moments that stand out most in your career so far?
I think so far, honestly, for me still has to be draft day. And honestly, number two, as of right now, I think is also just, being able to play in Australia. Just something that, I never imagined or never even crossed my mind that I'd be playing the game of baseball in Australia. And it was just, a phenomenal experience. And I would definitely be back over there one way or another.
We know that you're going to be back there at some point soon, but we're both Brooklyn guys, and I know how special it is to be able to get that call, to be able to be drafted by your hometown team. I mean, did that make it extra special in the fact that you got to be drafted by the team that you watched growing up in the Mets?
No, absolutely. I mean, I grew up in a family that was definitely big Mets fans and big Red Sox fans because, of course, I come from a Dominican family, and the Red Sox were loaded with really good Dominican players during that time. So we were big Mets and Red Sox fans. So once I got that call, I was able to, receive that call with my brother and my sister in the room who, I grew up watching those games with them. So it was just a dope experience all around. And I mean, it was just, something that I'll never forget, sure, and I'll continue to cherish.
Absolutely. And Manny, listen, I can think of three of those players, and one of them you played with in Manny Ramirez, and another one in David Ortiz, who was pretty good in his own right, and a former Met Pedro Martinez. And I used to always joke with people, I used to root for the Red Sox, especially when they played against the Yankees. So listen, I can't blame you on the Mets and Red Sox parts. And the Red Sox even had a pretty good player in the 90s named Jose Offerman, whose daughter is actually JoJo Offerman. And she's actually now has a child with Ray Wyatt the Fiend. So listen, you just never know the connections that you have in the world. So obviously we love everybody who's played all overseas, and especially Manny Rodriguez, who did a phenomenal job as the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year with our Sydney Blue Sox. And it's been a tremendous honor to be able to speak with Manny Rodriguez and all the great things that he has done here on behalf of his career. And the Honorable MC Ernest Dove, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you any closing thoughts. It's always a tremendous honor to speak with you, especially when we do all these great two for the price of one segments and talk about all the great things that so many people that we've gotten to speak with here in the Mets organization, like Manny Rodriguez. So I want to give you the floor. I want to give you any closing thoughts. I also want you to plug all of your social media so we can keep up to date with all the great things that you are doing. So for you, my friend, you know the drill. Plug all us to get in touch with you, and the floor is yours.
You can always catch me on Twitter, usually arguing about something Mets related, at Ernest Dove, ERNESTDOVE. Also, for the upcoming season, obviously, please catch me on the Sports Report and even on Twitter, talking Manny Rodriguez and also talking minor league baseball, covering the Low A Southeast League. The St. Lucie Mets, the last time that Manny was there, was a different affiliate level. So now they're now in the Low A, kind of a lower league, a lower division now these days. So look for me covering some of the younger level Mets striving to be Manny Rodriguez in the future. And obviously catch me every week on the Sports Report on Sportinarium.
Absolutely. And we definitely know, though, that Manny Rodriguez is going to be that rising tide, and we are going to see him lift the New York Mets very, very soon in the near and distant future. And that's why we're honored to have him here on the Sports Report. And Manny, for you, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you any closing thoughts. Anything you want to say to our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium, anything you want to say to your family, your friends, and of course your fans, your many, many fans throughout the world, because now you're actually one of the only New York Mets we've spoken with that's actually a worldwide player. So obviously you have a worldwide audience listening out there. So for you, so for you, I want to give you the floor. Anything you want to say to our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium, and also please plug all of your social media. And I can't thank you enough, my friend. It's always an honor to speak with you, and the floor is yours.
No, of course. I mean, I just want to thank everybody, not only who's helped me, throughout my career from day one, from since, I was little to high school to college, but everybody outside of the game as well. Because, if there was a lot of people who took care of me that, I strive to be able to give back to them one day. So I think I just want to, give shout out to them as well. And, just continue to tell everybody that I appreciate them. Appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys love chatting with you guys. To the fans worldwide in Australia, thank you to some fans that I got in Australia who were amazing. Can't wait to be back out there. Can't wait to, not only am I representing, all my past teams, because, I represent the Mets, I represent the Bearcats, I represent the Copperhead Cardinals, but now, I still represent the Sydney Blue Sox since I was a part of that team. So I will continue to represent, everybody that has helped me along the way and all the teams that I played on. And yeah, I'm excited for the future.
Absolutely. And everybody can follow Manny Rodriguez on Twitter. They can follow him on Instagram, and they can find out just who the kind of player and the kind of person that Manny Rodriguez is. And you can follow him on Instagram at Manny_Rodriguez_2. That's Manny_Rodriguez_2. And on Twitter, you can follow him at 2_Manny. That's at 2_Manny. So you can follow Manny Rodriguez on Twitter and Instagram and find out all the great things that he is going to do and keep up to date with him on this journey, because a rising tide lifts all boats. And we definitely know that Manny Rodriguez is going to be that rising tide that is going to lift us here. He's already done that in Sydney. So for you, the Honorable MC Ernest Dove, we'll speak with you here very shortly, and we'll talk about all the latest happenings in the world of professional baseball. And Manny, congratulations on all the success that you've had. You've made us all most notably proud back home here in Brooklyn. Everybody from Bay Ridge to Coney Island to Sunset Park to Marine Park to Mill Basin to Kensington, Windsor Terrace, where you're from. You have made us all proud. Southern Brooklyn is rooting for you, but most notably our worldwide audience listening here on Sportinarium is rooting for you. So congratulations, my friend. I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to speaking with you the next time when you're a New York Met.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys, man. You guys are awesome. I'm looking forward to being able to talk baseball with you guys once again, and being able to catch up to what's happened now till then. So it's gonna be awesome. I look forward to that.
Absolutely, you're making us all proud, Manny, and we know that's going to happen here in the near and distant future as we are here on the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show with the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year with the Sydney Blue Sox and star player in the New York Mets organization. That's Manny Rodriguez. As I am America's greatest export, the host of the Sports Report, the Reverend Tom Bryce, and stay tuned for more hard-hitting analysis as the Honorable MC Ernest Dove stays with us to talk all the latest happenings in the world of professional baseball here on Sportinarium, as we're just with star player in the New York Mets organization and the 2021 ABL Defensive Player of the Year, Manny Rodriguez, as we're here on Sportinarium, the #1 global radio station. Stay tuned for more hard-hitting analysis with the Honorable MC Ernest Dove to talk all the latest happenings in the world of professional baseball.